it's me, Trey Rodriguez. Now, if you just saw it, I posted on my channel, Steven and a guy named Sori, which is the name of his Facebook account. It's probably not his actual name, but they had a debate. And I messaged the guy, and I said, I'm going to do a debate with you. And the Sori guy, he told me, go easy on him. I'm like, go easy on him? What do you mean? Bro, I watched the debate. It is a good thing Sori made me promise, because, oh my God. Okay, let's just get right to the debate. So, Sori comes right out of the gate, immediately attacking the core point of Stephen's argument, as you can see.
Once again, and intermarry with the peoples who practice these abominations? Would you not be angry with us until you consumed us, so that there should be no remnant, nor any to escape? O Yahweh, the God of Israel, you are just, and the term there actually means righteous. You are just, for we are left a remnant that has escaped as it is today. Behold, we are before you in our guilt, for none can stand before you because of this.
All right. Now, that was pretty strong. As far as I'm concerned, Stephen's argument for the righteous remnant is DOA, dead on arrival. He just killed that thing before Stephen could even get a chance to argue it. But in the name of open-mindedness, we'll hear what Stephen has to say. But there's something I actually forgot to point out in both our debates and in my catch-up video. It's that the Bible says no man can die for another man's sins. And, of course, I'll beat you to it right now. Jesus Christ is not just a man. I don't think demigod and man are quite the same thing there. But, nonetheless, he goes on to explain it rather nicely. Like this.
To intercede for themselves, not only to intercede for Israel, but also to intercede for the Gentiles. Please show me a text in the Old Testament or in history where the Jewish people ever interceded on behalf of those who were killing them.
So he wraps up the point pretty nicely. But also, it's very important, because Stephen later on, as you'll see, doesn't seem to quite comprehend this, how much trouble the Israelites are in. They are in so much trouble, they are comparable to, well, just watch.
If the Lord of hosts had not left us a few survivors, we should have been like Sodom and become like the Gomorrah.
Okay, so they are in so much trouble, they are comparable to Sodom and Gomorrah, two cities that God had burned to the ground. Now, that's very important. Also, just in case Stephen didn't hear it the first time, here it is again. This is how we know there was no righteous remnant.
Any righteous remnant to be in Israel. As you can see right here, he says, why will you be struck down? Why will you continue to rebel? The whole head is sick, the whole heart faint, and from the sole of the foot even to the head, there is no soundness in it, but bruises and sores and raw wounds. This obviously is talking about the entire nation of Israel, and they're saying, and what God is saying is Israel was a body, they would be covered in sores from head to foot because the entire nation is wicked. This is clear.
Now that seems like a pretty stone-cold argument. There is no righteous remnant, straight from the horse's mouth. And I don't want to be the guy to assume things, but watching Stephen's body language here, he doesn't seem very confident. He seems very nervous. He tries hiding it behind his ha-ha laugh sometimes in this debate. For example, take this.
Makes itself restitution, he shall see children. And this is another Jewish translation. God desired to oppress him, and he afflicted him. If his soul would acknowledge guilt, he would see his offspring. So that's another interpretation, that it means that his soul is acknowledging guilt. Okay,
now I have a question, a very simple one. was that an interpretation or was that a translation? Stephen seems to have forgotten in the heat of the moment that these are two completely different words that mean two completely different things. And Vin and Sori does a pretty good job of pointing this out, as you can see.
That there is no Hebrew word that says anything about this person making restitution for himself. When my opponent says he had a different interpretation of Isaiah 53:10 in regard to the Asham, we created a category error. I did not interpret what Asham was. I simply translated it. This is a translation. This is not an interpretation. And if my opponent believes that he has a text family in Hebrew that justifies the translation that he quoted to us, I would like to see it. If he doesn't, then we're just going to have to take his word for it.
Well, we're waiting.
Sorry. I forgot I was in the middle of making a video. I too fell asleep waiting for this reference still. As a matter of fact, I'm still waiting for the reference of any kind that I asked for 4 times now that backs up Stephen's claim that Isaiah 53 is being spoken of from the point of the kings. What's the matter, Stephen? Not even Jews for Judaism will back that?
My opponent also made a big thing out of the whole thing about the the righteous remnant weren't really righteous. Like, they can't be considered righteous because the Israelites were so sinful and all that. And in response to that, I would say that figures like Abraham, Noah, and Lot were also called righteous many times in the Old Testament, but yet they were very sinful.
Okay, well, there's actually 2 things here. One, your opponent didn't make a big deal out of it. The Bible did. You know, the thing you should be basing your argument off of. 2, I know I can't be the only one sitting here thinking to myself when he said, well, Abraham and Lot? What? Abraham and Lot? What do they have to do with this? Now, there's a category, as I said before. Stephen doesn't quite seem to grasp that there is a category of mess up in the Bible. One is where you're perfect. You're like Jesus. Nobody can touch you. Second is where you're about a human stance. You mess up, you're not perfect, but you can atone for it. 3 is what Ozyman Reviews refers to as destination. My girlfriend still won't let me swear. So destination F is what we'll simply put it as. In other words, ain't no sacrifice or, I'm sorry, please forgive me, saving you. You just heard him say you are comparable to Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, you can disagree. We could get into an argument over this, but clearly, for whatever reason, God thought that Lot and Abraham were still good enough to be saved and considered righteous. These Israelites, clearly not, as the Bible said. So, I'm not sure exactly what he's attempting to appeal. Maybe he disagrees with God. I mean, he doesn't think that, God should consider them righteous. Don't care. God's God.
The fact that a term isn't found in a passage isn't a reason. This is the term that we use to discuss this concept, all right? But the concept of the righteous remnant is evidenced in the scripture, and I'll show you just a sec. Let me check my notes.
Today, Junior?
Okay. Isaiah 49, 3-6 calls the servant Israel, but also says he will restore Israel. So this means that there's it's distinguishing.
Now, if you think that sounds crazy, don't count Stephen out just yet, because he's about to play his Egyptian God card.
Seems to be that the righteous remnant is actually a personification of Israel, all right? And I have here the New English Bible, Oxford Study Edition.
Okay, So they are in so much trouble. They are comparable to Sodom and Gomorrah, two cities that God had burned to the ground. Now, that's very important. Also, just in case Stephen didn't hear it the first time, here it is again. This is how we know there was no righteous remnant.
Any righteous remnant to be in Israel. As you can see right here, he says, why will you be struck down? Why will you continue to rebel? The whole head is sick, the whole heart faint, and from the sole of the foot even to the head, there is no soundness in it, but bruises and sores and raw wounds. This obviously is talking about the entire nation of Israel, and they're saying, and what God is saying is Israel was a body, they would be covered in sores from head to foot because the entire nation is wicked. This is clear.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, what a surprise. You knew it was coming. But you know what, Stephen? You really shouldn't go ahead and take that thing out and wave it around like it's something impressive. I mean, after all, mine's bigger. But in all seriousness, I'll say it right now. For all his flaws, Stephen's still an honest guy. For example, he's not a hypocrite. He would never do something that he would criticize other people for doing, such as naming your sources of certain people to back you up. He would never...
Christine Hayes is the professor.
Whoa, hold up. I don't care what professor has age or whatever you just said, because you are clearly the professor of hypocrisy. I thought that was called name dropping, Stephen.
The servant is Israel. He says that multiple times. I'll just read a couple excerpts here. All right. This is Isaiah 41:8. But you, Israel, my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the offspring of Abraham, my friend. Isaiah 42:1. Behold, my servant whom I uphold, my chosen, in whom my soul delights.
You guys smell that? It smells like old arguments. Yes, you may remember this argument from me and Stephen's debate on the same topic. This is why I was so shocked when he asked me, you think there's more than one servant? Yes, of course there is. It says, my servant Israel, then it goes on to name somebody. Then my servant Israel goes on to name somebody else. I mentioned this in our debate. I don't find this very convincing at all. But persistence is key.
That verse 10, because it says, he shall see his offspring. And Jesus didn't have any children. So it seems that this can't be about Jesus because it says he will see his offspring. And the word used for offspring is not the word that can be used for metaphorical offspring, like future Christians or the church or something. It's the word zera, which means biological offspring.
Oh yeah, that really is old argument I'm smelling. You may remember this argument. Now, after our debate, I actually went and talked to Stephen. I pointed out to him, as Vin and Sori actually points out to him in this exact debate, that the word literally means seed. Like a seed you plant in the ground. So the entire time it is metaphorical. And Stephen's response is, well, seeds can have offsprings too. No, that's not how a metaphor works, Stephen. Let me ask you this. Do you think that the children of Israel were literally seeds? Like that you grow a flower from? No? Okay then. It's metaphorical. Pointing out that seeds can have literal offspring is irrelevant. Calling them seeds is metaphorical. My God, this is the third time now someone is trying to tell this to you. Please don't make there be a fourth.
A note at the bottom of a study Bible can hardly be proof of scholarly consensus on anything. Good night. D.A. Carson, John Piper, John Sailhammer, James White. I could go on and on and on and on about people who take the messianic view of Isaiah 53.
Oh my God. Oh my God, Stephen, are you okay? Are you okay, Stephen? What light? No, don't go in the light. Get up, man. Get up. Oh my God. Stephen, are you okay? What day is it? Who's the President of the United States? Alright, listen, I don't know about this. You need to like back out, man. Don't make like my stepdad should have with the last three and pull out, okay, man? You ain't prepared for this. Clearly this guy's got you outmatched. Let's just walk away with our dignity and okay, I can't stop you from getting back into the ring, but I just want to know ahead of time. What color flowers do you want on your grave?
Well, let me ask the question. Can deceit have literal offspring?
No. Well, not literally.
Deceit cannot have literal offspring.
Okay.
Okay. You see right here in Isaiah 57, it says, "Are you not children of transgression, the offspring of deceit?"
Okay.
Do you know what the Hebrew word for offspring is there?
Is it Zerah?
Well, let's see. It says offspring. Let's go down.
Zero.
Okay. Well, to that, can I respond?
Oh, yes, Stephen. Yes, you can. Please explain and respond how Zerah, the completely literal word that is not used to mean metaphorical children, was just used to mean metaphorical children. I must hear your wisdom.
It's metaphorical. It's not like a literal person is having a metaphorical offspring. If it was a literal person having a metaphorical offspring, then I would agree with you. That would be a counter argument that would disprove my case. You know, my point that Zerah is always literal biological. But Zerah is used here because this is a metaphorical entity having metaphorical offspring. Okay.
You serious?
Oh my God. Stephen, I want to reiterate. Vin and Sori made me promise to go easy on you. You are seriously pushing my commitment to that promise. I am not even going to dignify that jumbled mess of words with a response. You're wrong. Get over it.
The same thing as saying, like, if I had a text that says Jesus Christ is not God in the New Testament, that would be a good analogy. But what we have here is you've got a remnant, and the remnant is consistently saying that they're wicked, and God is consistently saying that the remnant is wicked.
Well, the answer here is clearly obvious. God's an idiot. Isaiah's an idiot. Who are you going to trust? God and Isaiah or Stephen? Who was actually there to see it? Stephen, not God or Isaiah. What do their words mean in any of this? What are you trying to say? Stephen's wrong? Like that would ever happen.
In verse 3, it says that the servant is a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And it seems to me this describes the nation of Israel more than it describes Jesus, because Jesus only experienced suffering at the end of his life.
Okay, well, that's completely wrong as always, but, go on.
On death row, that dying would be a relief than the anticipation of death. And so Jesus, no doubt, as a child, as a young man, would have seen crucified people. The Romans did that on a multitude of occasions, and knowing definitively that that was his fate. Furthermore, his own family didn't believe in him, John chapter 7 says. So the idea that Jesus was not acquainted with grief or suffering because he was popular is insane. I guess Kurt Cobain killed himself for inexplicable reasons. You got all these famous people in America that are rich and famous that are blowing themselves away. Go and tell them that they're not suffering. So I just think that was a pretty weak argument.
So your argument is that being famous is suffering.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you expecting me to say something? Okay, I'll say it. Stephen, you're playing stupid. I'm not calling you stupid because it would be an insult then to me to say that I didn't do well in a debate against a stupid person. I don't think you're stupid. You're playing stupid. There is no way You listened to everything he just said, and then out of that, all you got was, duh, so he was famous? Get the hell out of here, Steven.
Now, Trey had told you that earlier.
I told you. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you? 'Cause I told you. And when did I tell you? A long time ago. And what did I say will happen when I told you? Exactly what just happened.
If you ask any Christian whether they think that Jesus was at peace during his ministry and happy during his ministry, or whether he was miserable and just, afraid of everybody and just like, constantly wallowing in horror, I think that they would say that Jesus was happy and at peace. In fact, I've done a survey in a Christian group, a group of mostly Christian members, asking them this question, and I've gotten 7. It was a poll. We're gonna have to move on at this point.
My argument's textual. Yours is a chat room.
We're gonna have to move on at this point.
My argument's textual. Yours is a chat room.
Damn!
Steven, excuse me. He's not getting up. He's not even moving. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm gonna go get Steven some much needed medical attention. I'm gonna end the video here. I already cut out a lot of stuff I didn't want to, but go watch this debate. It's amazing. Having said that, see you in the next video. Come on now, Steven. Get up.